Heroes of Fantasy Football Podcast.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Heroes of Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm your host this evening, Matt High, joined alongside Chris Felice. Actually, scratch that. I'm going to be Salty Matt for the first part of the show. Okay, Salty Matt is here. For those of you who have had Amari DiMercato on your team this week, I apologize. I had him too. And the reason I'm salty is not just because of him. It is because our co-host, Richie Kopeck, is I am anointing him here on this podcast to everybody. He is the luckiest manager in the world. And I'm going to explain why. Okay, this isn't just me being bitter. This is truth. We've tested this. It's a scientific fact, okay?
Tested is a wild term. This is wild of you.
Okay. Let's run this down. My team going off this week, and then I lost. Okay, I lost, obviously. Otherwise, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now. By less than a point, because Amari DiMercato runs to the end zone on a 74-yard touchdown and drops the ball before he enters the end zone. So if he just got tackled at the one, still great. I'd be victorious right now. But no, the moron decides to drop the ball and it counts as a fumble and a touchback. Okay, so I lost by less than a point to Richie because of that. That was just in one league. Second league, he had our first ever tie in a dynasty league. Now we go to 2 decimal points and he still tied. Okay, it took the Sunday night football game. One pass for Josh Allen was enough to get him the tie. Okay, third league, yeah, there's 3. Okay, he needed Brian Thomas Jr. to get one more catch for at least like 27 yards to win by like 0.2 points. Okay, just a little bit. What happens on the last drive of the game? Catch Brian Thomas Jr., 33 yards, Richie wins. Okay, so I want to know, because everyone probably has a manager in their league, dynasty, redraft, best ball, guillotine, whatever, you name it, whatever league. I want to see proof. Who is luckier? Okay, I want to see if there's anyone as lucky or luckier.
Okay. I'm gonna interject. Right?
Go ahead. You're allowed.
We're not gonna sit here and say that bad stuff has not happened to Richie this season. I mean, we've all seen his dynasty team. Bunch of injuries and whatnot, and players not performing to expectations. Right? Let me say this. Right? Yes. It sucks when stuff of that nature happens. Fantasy football is a game of variance. In reality, after the draft, there is very little skill to it to a certain extent. There's a lot of luck. I want everyone to make sure they keep that in mind. So while yes, Matt has every right to be salty.
It was 3 leagues. Okay. We're talking about variance in 1 league or 2 leagues. No, this was 3. I understand. Way, we love you, Rich.
I understand. But it's okay because at the end of the day, he still lost to me in the finals 2 years ago to Puka Nacua. And that was the start of his downfall. So he can't possibly be lucky if he's... No, I'm joking, Richie.
Either way. So if you also lost by the Amari DiMercato fumble into the end zone, that should have been an easy victory. I want to see those as well, so please drop those in the comment section because I want to see them. I'll post mine there too. Once this episode airs in the morning, I will post my screenshot of how I lost. And he also had a goose egg with Zach Ertz, so it was just a bit weird week. Did you see
the coach get into his face after that happened and he got fined $100,000?
Yeah, I'd be sending an invoice to Amari DiMercato for that fine. You're the idiot. I'm gonna call you out, but it's fine. It's fine. Hopefully they cut him. He deserves to be cut. Any player in the NFL that can't hold on to the football until they confirm they have crossed the line should be cut and shipped off. That simple.
Strong words.
We should not be having this problem. Jonathan Taylor did it last year. We had Malachi Corley did it last year. People, stop being dumb. Just cross the line and then do whatever you want. Okay? Just make sure you cross the line. It's not that hard. This isn't just for fantasy football. This is just for NFL. Stop doing stupid things. Okay. Here we go.
You good now?
I think I'm good. We can go over to tonight's main course. If you're still here, thank you for tuning in. We appreciate it. If you do us a favor and like, share, and subscribe, we always want to hear from everybody. I'm sure everyone's having either a fantastic time, a terrible time, or somewhere in the middle. I am 0-5 in the redraft league, so it's not over. We're still gonna go through. We're still gonna push through because it ain't over until it's over. But
it ain't over till the fantastic mentality, buddy.
Yes, I have to tell myself that, and you should
have
too.
To believe
it ain't over until you're.
I'm 4-1
statistically and mathematically eliminated. There is still a non-zero chance. So just with everything in life, there's a non-zero chance. Just keep going. All right. So on today's episode, after all of that nonsense, we're going to talk about our starts and sits for week 6. It's a very important week. Some of you, like myself, are 0-5. We got to start steering the ship the right direction because that iceberg is coming up real close. Really, really close. So we got to get away from it. So we have a couple start sits here that are going to help you out make the best decisions on your roster as you enter week 6. So let's just dive right in. I think we just run into our starts of the week. All right, Chris, quarterback, who is the start of the week?
I got my old reliable, one of my very, very big, nice safety valves. I got Jared Goff going up against the Kansas City Chiefs. There's not too much to say here. Yes, the Chiefs are bad defensively, right? That's not all I'm saying, but the offense is very good on Goff's side. I think this is going to be a decent shootout to an extent. I think it's just a safe pick. We know he's going to have to pass the ball. Now that also the Chiefs are kind of ramping things up, they're kind of getting to more of a form, especially because I'm getting a lot of 2 years ago vibes where they were really bad the first half of it, and they just momentously came back and won a Super Bowl. We know they can come back into it based on the history of it. So I have a feeling it'll be a shootout, which is only going to be good for Jared Goff. So I think it's just a safe and easy play. Slide in there. Nothing too much more to kind of go over there.
I like it. All right, my quarterback start of the week is going to be Matt Stafford going against the Baltimore Ravens. Now, we're just going to let the good times keep on rolling in here. This is the second best matchup for opposing quarterbacks, just behind the Dallas Cowboys. The Ravens are absolutely demolished by injuries right now. They're giving up 24 fantasy points per game, over 24 fantasy points per game to opposing quarterbacks, and 3 games over 30 points so far in the season, with 2 happening in the last 2 weeks. Stafford right now is a leading passer in the NFL and is not going to stop here. I'm putting him in as a top 5 quarterback on the week, and it's just going to happen. There's too many things going in the right direction. I think I saw a stat that the Ravens have they have over $150 million tied up in players that are currently injured. That's insane.
That is wild.
All of their starters. I'll vet that while you go to the next guy, but I gotta find that I know it's an obscene number that so many players are on either IR or just missing time. So Matt Stafford against the Ravens is going to be fantastic this week. He's a set it and forget it at this point on the season.
Gotcha.
So let's jump into running backs. Who are you doing for running back this week?
So I got a nice, safe, reliable flex RB2 option here for you. I got Tony Pollard going up against the Raiders. Nothing too crazy. We know that team. Let's just say Cam Ward has not looked the part that I feel like people might have expected. I think we can agree on that. So the run game, reliable, good safety valve for most teams when the passing game is simply not great. I think with that in mind, the way that everything can kind of work here is Tony Pollard last week, solid showing, right? I feel like that just kind of continues. I feel like they kind of are going to find this groove, and I think that's only going to help Tony Pollard. He gets the touches, he gets the yardage, it just kind of works out. Up against the Raiders, who are, not the greatest run defense in the known universe, right? It'll not the worst, not the best, right? It'll work out. I think it's going to be fine. They'll go in. I'm not going to give the touchdown guarantee or anything, but I think he'll be a nice kind of he'll get your projected basically, which I think around 12 to 13 fantasy points. I think it's a very safe pick, which is right now, get into the middle of the season. Stability is fantastic, right? That's what you want. You probably drafted Tony Pollard pretty late, right? You're dealing with injuries. You got Hampton out. You got I can think of more. I promise. I'm just not thinking off the top of my head, but there's definitely more. Especially like your maybe other flex players. There's
James
like
Conner, you lost this week. Yep,
Trey Benson following up on that, right?
Amari DiMercato.
Other like flex players that you probably could have had that you may have taken shots on. I'm thinking like guys like Matthew Golden, people like that where they're like fine, the flashes are there, but like not consistent enough where you want to put them in. This is a safe guy you can slot in. We'll probably get you projected, and you're good.
Yes. So it's over 120 million in cap space. So that's a lot. That's a lot of cash tied up to people who are not playing football. So, all right, just wanted to give that note quick. My running back start of the week is going to be Rachaad White going against the San Francisco 49ers. Now, Bucky's going to be out this week, reported with, I think it was an ankle injury, and then also he reported a shoulder injury. So he's going to be out at least this week, maybe next week. We'll kind of have to play that by ear, but we're just going to ride Rachaad White this week. Coming off a 2-touchdown game where he saw 80% of the snaps compared to Sean Tucker's 21%. When Bucky's not on the field, it's basically Rachaad White or no one. We even kind of saw this last year too, where the split was Rachaad White most of the time and Sean Tucker's just kind of there to give the guys a breather. Now,
you're welcome, by the way.
Yes, thank you. I have traded for both of them in our Dynasty League, and they helped me secure a victory last week. Narrow victory, but victory. Back to this, though. He didn't have a very efficient week last week. I'm not going to pretend he did. He was saved by 2 touchdowns. But that's kind of how he's always been. He's never been the most efficient running back. But scoring opportunities on this team are going to be there. Emeka Egbuka is on fire. Suck it, Yahoo. It's just everything around the Bucks are great. Oh, I told you, Salty Matt is here. Salty Matt is here today. I'll explain it after I finish this little tidbit here. The Bucks are going. They're going at home against a banged up 49ers team, and I think it's just you're going to play him with RB2 with RB1 upside. Now, to explain that little bit, why I'm a little annoyed at I have a little tizzy with Yahoo is during our draft we get the recaps, and I got my recap after our draft when I drafted Emeka Egbuka, and it told me that was the worst pick in the entire draft. 12 teams, 15 rounds. That, in the end of the 5th round, was the worst pick in the draft. To which I said, suck it, Yahoo. Watch and let's see what happens. And here we are, a couple weeks in. Emeka Egbuka is on fire. Told you so. All right. I'll try to tone down the saltiness now for your next
you good now?
Here. I think I am. I think I'm good now. Who is your wide receiver start of the week?
Yeah, so I have Tet McMillan going up against the Dallas Cowboys. Listen, the Panthers, Bryce Young doesn't look that great. I have to say I'm very impressed with how McMillan has looked when the opportunities have arrived, right? And when they can kind of get in sync. I like what I'm seeing from Tet. But I'm mostly picking this because the Cowboys defense, the passing defense specifically, is so bad. It's almost like giving up Micah Parsons maybe wasn't the right move. So I'm really exploiting a bad defensive matchup here. I think this is a very solid wide receiver 2 play. Probably not in the wide receiver 1 category just because of the volatility of Bryce Young, but I am willing to, which I can't believe I'm doing, and I might get burned for this, but I'm willing to give the touchdown guarantee here because of just how bad this defense is. So touchdown guarantee, Tet McMillan going up against the Cowboys.
To the defense of Jerry Jones, which is something I know as Giants fans we love to do. Did they win a Super Bowl with Micah Parsons? No. Was Micah Parsons the reason they did not win a Super Bowl? No. Jerry Jones is on something. But
we were talking about this before the show, and I was like literally saying that like it's crazy to me that Jerry Jones can manage to, Jerry Jones and his team can do something really good and then also shoot themselves in the foot 2 seconds later. Like Javonte Williams, who knew? I definitely didn't. Guy's a monster right now, right?
I don't think Javonte Williams knew.
No, literally. Give him Micah Parsons, right? A couple years before, right? The Tony Pollard debacle, right? Gave up Tony Pollard, had no run game, but he was, yes, they suffered, but it also on the Titans it showed, yeah, okay. It's like he definitely can't be the number 1 guy and be the super dominant runner, right? And then the years before, give up Amari Cooper, put in CeeDee Lamb. Yeah, you're right about CeeDee Lamb, but then a year or whatever later, you're like, you really just need that one more wide receiver. It's like, bro, you had that one more wide receiver. His name was Amari Cooper. You had a little bit past prime Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb on the same team. It's just weird that every time they do something good, they also mention something bad. It's really funny to watch every time. Sorry, rant over. Go ahead and yeah, give me your.
All right. My wide receiver start of the week is going to be Davante Adams going against the Baltimore Ravens. I'm going to pair him with my quarterback start of the week. Basically, everything I just said about Matthew Stafford just change a little bit for Davante Adams because he's the one catching the passes from Matthew Stafford. Ravens are also the second best matchup for the wide receivers. And looking specifically at Davante Adams, he has not lost a step. Everything I've seen on tape, he's still there. Last week he got a little bit unfortunate. I think he went 3 for 8 for 88 yards. He's still making big plays though, and he's doing things outside of the play where he doesn't get the ball, and he's still helping this offense. So I think this week it's going to be a lot of fun to watch what this Rams offense does. The Ravens are giving up at least 2 touchdowns to wide receivers per game on the season through 5 weeks, and almost 30 fantasy points to opposing wide receivers. So we're all in on Puka. Puka's awesome. I think he's the number 1 wide receiver at the moment. But Adams is going to get a chance too. So I think they're both going to eat this week, and I'm starting him with high confidence as a wide receiver too, with the obvious upside of just the matchup going bonkers. The Rams could easily put up 40, 50 points this week. That is in the realm of outcomes because this defense is so banged up. This is not the Ravens that we've seen in the past, and it's really, really bizarre, but at this point, you're starting everybody. If you see the Ravens matchup, you're just putting them in because good things happen to those who do that. So let's jump into the tight end. You did it, didn't you? I just saw this. Who's your tight end start of the week?
Yeah. I got Jake Tonges. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but that's my tight end start of the week. So Kittle on the horizon, coming back soon. It is what it is. But if you've had him, he's been pretty good for you for the most part, especially these past 2 weeks. And going up against Tampa Bay, who, you can definitely they will definitely find a way to exploit that matchup. I'm a big fan. I'm gonna take this. It doesn't seem to matter who's at the helm. He's gonna do what he's gonna do. It's a safe and easy pick. And you know what? For tight end, I think. Let me look really fast. Let me look. Hold on. Hold. I have him in my fantasy team. I actually picked him up. I did that to be a jerk because I'm not competing, but someone's gonna pay for him. Yeah. So I'm trying to find it here. Yeah, past 2 weeks, 13.3 fantasy points, 13.6, going against a similar defense to last week for tight ends. Last week played against the Rams, okay against tight ends. This week, Tampa Bay, also not, the greatest against tight ends in terms of receptions. I think it works. You can probably put him in. I'm not saying he's going to get 13 points, but probably get you 8. And you know what? For a tight end, we take those. We absolutely take those.
Yes, I wish my tight end got 8 points last week. All right, my tight end start of the week is going to be a podcast favorite return for me, Hunter Henry going against the Saints. He's coming off a really bad week, a pretty low stat line. The Patriots last week were able to handle things mostly on the ground. It's in a typical Vrabel fashion. He likes to have a running back bruising over people and scoring points. Drake May has looked so far every bit the quarterback I thought he was going to be. Going back to the draft process, he was one of my favorite picks because I think he presented enough value. It just didn't have the pieces. Now we're starting to see how the pieces are meshing together, and I think it's going to just continue to go. They're going to peel back some of the developmental layers this week against a pretty soft defense and just let May kind of do his thing. He's got a strong arm. He's been confident. He's been very calm in the pocket. He's been able to make plays and extend plays and just find the open guy. Now, looking at specifically at Hunter Henry, he's been actually the first read on a lot of targets more often than not from Drake May. Now, he actually accounts for about 78% of all the tight end targets for the Patriots offense, which is awesome. This position's already tough to predict. So I'm just going to stick with good old reliable Hunter Henry. He's going to get the targets, he's going to get the yardage, and he's always a threat for a touchdown. Drake May likes to find him in the end zone, especially down the red zone. He's just reliable for the most part. Last week, with tight end, like we said, it's a little difficult to predict them to begin with. And, I'm going to chase targets, I'm going to chase opportunities. Hunter Henry gets both upside and everything. So if you're in a pinch and you have the ability to pick up Hunter Henry or trade for him or something, I think it would be in your best interest to do so moving forward this season, especially this week. All right. Those are the starts of the week. We're going to jump right into our sits of the week. All right, Chris, who are we sitting and why is it going to hurt?
So I gotta be honest with you, I struggled to find a set this week. I really did, because there were a couple options, nothing too crazy, but this one's going to stand out. This one's going to, definitely not going to be ideal. Trevion Henderson. Now, I know Gibson just got hurt. So I know people don't like Ramondre Stevenson. Neither do I. But unfortunately, whatever is going on over there in that running back camp, Vrabel does not like Henderson currently. I know there were jokes about is he not giving the reps because he didn't get reps his first year or whatever. I'm not really sure what's going on. It's a little unnerving to see that they're not trying to, in my opinion, like going back to what you said, right, with Drake May and everything, right? It's really weird to me that they would not try to be as competitive as humanly possible, right? And there's definitely room for, I feel like, running back sort of, I would even go as far as to say committees. I'm looking at the snap count. Last week was the first time he got 50% of the snap, being in the snaps. That's wild. It's crazy. And yes, I understand that, you look at like the carries and yardage per carry. Yeah, it hasn't been the best. Of course not. But it doesn't help that he's not like in every single moment, right? He gets in there, he does whatever, leaves, comes back a couple plays later, never gonna be able to build up momentum, right? It sucks. It really does. So it's tough. I know that there's probably people that drafted him that would really want to play him in your flex spots. But it's just not safe, man. It's just not safe. Even with Gibson out, I don't know if I trust it. So I'm going to say to sit him. Just because he's going to score 3 touchdowns and have 60-plus receiving yards and 100-plus rushing yards, and he's going to do a backflip in the end zone. I don't know, but I'm sitting Henderson in every league that I have him in. So
Yeah, it's hard to play him with confidence. You might have bye weeks this week that you need to play him. It's just you kind of want to see what they're going to do now that Gibson's out and they have to play with Stevenson and Henderson. What's the split going to be? I mean, he's obviously talented. We've seen this. We've seen it in preseason. We see it in season. When he gets the ball, he's very good. It's just for some reason he just doesn't want to play him and give him more opportunity. I guess he just doesn't profile as one of the typical Vrabel running backs. Now, speaking of a typical Vrabel running back, you're going to sit Derrick Henry this week going against the Rams. It's going to make some of you turn your nose and say, well, I'm not doing it. I can't do it. You're probably going to talk yourself into starting him, but I don't know. I don't know if you should. If anyone can do it, it's Derrick freaking Henry. But at this point in the season, just why risk it? Lamar's not playing this week. We've already said about all the injuries. It's on the offensive and defensive side of the ball. If Derrick Henry did not score last week, we're talking about someone who finished with less than 7 points. That happened 3 times this year, and under 3 points in 2 of them. That is not who you drafted to be. You probably got him in the second, maybe third round, probably the second. This is not what you paid for. And I'm fading him away until we get Lamar back on the field, and that might not be until after their Week 8 bye. Or until Week 8, after their Week 7 bye. You're talking a couple weeks. This might be a chance if you're sitting pretty in your league. You might want to look at trying to trade for him, because I do not think this is going to get worse. I think it's going to be more of the same, and then it's only going to get better. Looking at what's happened the past couple weeks, it's hard to get worse. So this just represents an opportunity to buy him low, but just do not start him. The Rams give up almost the second fewest points to running backs on the season so far. You're already playing with Cooper Rush. It ain't going to bode well for you. If he finds the end zone, you might be okay, but, I mean, there's no upside. He had 15 rush attempts for 33 yards last week. That's really bad. That's really, really bad. So it's just hard to trust him in any capacity going into a week where you may need a win. And if he's on your team, like I said, it's going to be hard to sit him because it's Derrick Henry, but you should find a way to do so. All right. That is the end of the episode. Salty Matt is going away now. Good Matt will be back. We're doing more stuff on the show. We
maybe
got more fun. Yeah, maybe. It depends. It depends on I just dropped Amari DiMarcado in that league, so he's someone else's problem now. So go get him.
Damn.
He's really good at fumble after one. But that is it for us. If you could do us a favor, like, share, and subscribe. Any little bit helps. We're an independent podcast. It's just a couple of us doing this. It's having fun, bringing some knowledge and some experience into your world. So any day we get to do this is a good day to us. It's fun bringing our pain and suffering into a public place for either public ridicule, confirmation, just entertainment, whatever. we're here for it. So that's it. We'll see everyone later. Good luck in your Week 6 matchups. Hopefully you all win. And start the second half of the season. It's coming up soon. So we're going to do a couple trade for, trade away targets episodes soon. As we get a little bit more data and have some more bye week information and stuff like that. So stay tuned. You can follow the show. And that's all. All right, everyone. Good luck. Have fun. I'll see you later.
See you around.